Joining me now is Jason Stanley, professor of philosophy at the University of Toronto, where he focuses on authoritarianism, democracy, and propaganda. He's the author of several important books, including Erasing History, How Fascists Rewrite the Past to Control the Future. Great to have you in person, Jason. This is the flip side of what you and I spend most of our time talking about, right? 95% of what we talk about is all the bad things that are demonstrating how we're slipping from into authoritarianism. Today is the flip side of that. Today is people who still have agency and power in civil society demonstrating that.
Exactly right. I'm going to start out with the bad part, though. The world right now is associating the United States with fascism and white supremacy.
Which is wild, yeah.
This is what we fought against. The Soviet Union's propaganda said the United States is a white supremacist nation, and they were right. And so the civil rights movement rescued the reputation of the United States. Right now, we have an explicitly fascist white supremacist regime whose president is saying that black Americans, Somali Americans are inferior, are low IQ on the world stage. It's an explicit white supremacist regime. It's like they're validating the communist propaganda about the United States. It is patriotism itself to stand on the streets of the United States and stand against this, to say, this is not us. You are trying to change what we are. You're trying to destroy the reputation of the United States. You're trying to destroy what we fought so hard to preserve, which are the ideals of the United States, the ideals of the founders. So right now the world is watching, and it's an exciting moment. It's a moment where we can actually tell the world they're wrong. This president is wrong about who we are.
You studied Germany a great deal. You saw somebody sent us a picture from Berlin in which they say, if you wondered what you would have been doing in 1933, this is it. Because you've seen, in 1933, as Germany was descending into authoritarianism, there were protests. There were people who disagreed. And in history, if we had only known if there could have been more people and more could have been done, the world would have turned out to be a different place. Today, on March 28th, 2026, we are watching in America people making a decision to say, I've got the power to stand up to this.
And it's a world historical decision because the world is watching. Germany is now facing a fascist movement.
Right.
And this regime...
Which has tacit support of our administration,
Not tacit support, explicit
They've said it,
support.
right.
I mean,
good point.
Yeah. So, and it is an extreme, the Alternative for Deutschland's extreme far-right party, xenophobic, Islamophobic, exactly what we're seeing in the United States. The United States this regime in the United States is leading a global fascist movement. The American people have an opportunity to stop fascism worldwide. Today is an opportunity to stand up and say the Americans are going to lead the fight against the spread of global fascism.
Tell me, in your studies of history, what works in moments like this? Because you've probably seen all sorts of examples of protests that almost got there, that almost worked, that might have turned the tide of history, but for whatever reason didn't. And sometimes that's forced by the government, right? Governments come in and they shoot people or arrest people. We're seeing two tensions here. We're seeing millions of people out in the streets in America, or at least that's what's anticipated today. And we're seeing this show of force. We're seeing Donald Trump saying he's going to sign the money. We see his pictures all over the place. We're seeing ICE at airports not really solving the problem of TSA lineups, but there's a demonstration that my police are out in your streets.
Right. So one thing to realize is Minneapolis showed us that resistance works. This regime, we've now seen from Minneapolis, as we should already know, that when white people put themselves between the regime and black and brown bodies, they get shot. That's the most dangerous thing, to protect black and brown bodies. But Minneapolis did it. And, I'm living abroad, and I can tell you what Minneapolis did for America's reputation worldwide is huge. I have a student in my class who wears a Twin Cities cap.
Wow.
So Minneapolis is the vanguard. They took on the most dangerous possible thing, protecting black and brown neighbors. And they showed that you can do it. So if Minneapolis can do it, America can do it. This regime, they've shot people in the streets already. So Minneapolis shows the way. So it is going to get harder. It is going to get harder. Those ICE agents are in the airport for a reason. They're as Bannon said, they're preparing for the polls. Today is practice. Today is practice being out. Today is practice seeing that the state is there against you and getting used to that. So we need to get used to that. We've seen that the people in Minneapolis has done the hardest thing possible, and now it's steps to prepare to protect the election.
Right, because we are going to be seeing challenges to voting. We're seeing it with the SAVE Act. We're seeing it with Steve Bannon and others who, at every opportunity, dropped the idea that what a great idea to have these armed people at the polls, knowing full well that will disenfranchise people out of fear. Right? I want to go to a poll and maybe get arrested for a few hours until I can provide proof that I'm an American citizen.
Yeah, Amy Lehrman and Vashla Weaver show that having any contact with law enforcement makes you much less likely to show up at the polls. So, this is sort of tacitly known. So that's why we have to practice. We have to practice doing these things of nonviolently protesting. We have to practice doing the things that we're going to need to do when we show up at the polls. And that's what today is about. It's about that practice. It's being like, okay, I've done this before. I've shown up at protests. We've seen how hardcore the citizens of Minneapolis were showing up for their neighbors. If they can
in bad weather, in the deep cold,
against violent ICE, who literally were shooting them. And acting in brutal ways. So with that as the model, we can actually do this.
Are you hopeful?
I am pessimism of the intellect, optimism of the will, as Gramsci said. But I am hopeful. Minneapolis was a powerful, powerful signal about the American people's resilience, and I think that spoke powerfully to the world.
Jason, it's great to see you. As always, thank you for the great work that you do, important work. Jason Stanley is a professor of philosophy at the University of Toronto. He's the author of important books, including Erasing History, How Fascists Rewrite the Past to Control the Future.